Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. I'm going to bed early tonight, but I do have a little bit of time because I already showered to do this video. So we're gonna do Decolonizing Consumerism. Hello. I'm gonna give you the date. It's April 25th at 8 in the evening, but I'm on like the West Coast-ish. I mean, I'm in the Southwest. But anyway, big things happened today. And I wanted to show you my shirt. It came today. Dead men don't rape. So if y'all could stop missing, that'd be great. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's talk about the myth of consumerism, okay? That is our... No, I don't like that. That is our topic for tonight. Or whatever time you're seeing this. For me, it's been 10. Niall just pulled out another tooth, so he's lost 2 in a week. This one wasn't as ready as the other one, but I think we're okay. Hopefully. Okay, anyway. If you don't know what to do, I don't know either. Loose teeth really fucking gross me out. I know, we're going on a side tangent. But I gave him some salt water and like a Q-tip, warm water with salt in it, and then I did a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, but he didn't like that very much. And then I started giving him ice chips, and we also did Motrin right after he lost it, because I don't know how ready it was. The other one was very ready. This one, the root doesn't look like it came with, but we do have a surgery appointment on the 29th of May. So if we can just get to that. I'm really grossed out by teeth, but anyway, okay, you didn't come here to hear me talk about that. I'm sorry. Grosses me out. Okay, so the myth of consumerism. I'm sorry, guys. I think, okay, America, I think people are starting to realize this because the wealth disparity has been so widened. There's not really a middle class anymore. There's like the working class who are like living below the poverty line, and then there's like boomers who had pensions and retirement plans, who think they're wealthy, but they're really not. That would be like what the middle class is, but they're also receiving SSI and, state benefits while they still exist. And then there's like the rest of us, and we're like the working class, and then there's the elite, right? Like the very wealthy. I mean, it's not that clear cut, okay? But all that to say is that I think it's becoming more clear because the working class is growing and everything is inflated, right? So people just like can't afford it. I mean, this country has like all of these crises. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the point of consumerism, but there's all of these things that play into this. I don't have my rings on. I want to go get those. Hang on, BRB. Alright, so there's all of these things that play into why what I just said matters, why the wealth gap matters. And with all of this increased there's so many things moving. I like to think of the system as like each of these things being a gear, which the song Pink Floyd kind of alludes to. Is that it's like a machine, right? So the housing crisis is one gear. The inability to have healthcare is one gear, right? Anyway, so I think it's becoming very clear and abundantly well known, right, for the masses at least, because we're all starting to experience this. It's becoming impossible to live with these wages, right? It's becoming impossible. And up until this point, the freedom that we've all had, the freedom that all of these generations of boys have died for, for the United States, has only been the freedom of consumerism. So without money, you don't have that freedom. That's my point. So the myth of consumerism is just that. It feeds this it feeds this like incessant, what's that word? Incessant? I shouldn't use link. Yes, I should. We should all use words we're not quite sure. Incessant. Something regarded as continuing without phase or interruption. Yeah, that's what it means. It feeds the system, and it feeds your... The need to consume versus create is like this human paradox. It's this space in which we are creators, right? But this system, what it has done is remove that ability, because they've co-opted our time. They make us trade our labor for money, right? Our labor, our skills, our time, our energy for money that we turn around and put back into the system. That's the myth of convenience. Did I say myth of convenience or myth of consumerism? I think it's supposed to be, I'm sorry, I think it's supposed to be, the topic is the myth of convenience, but I think I've been saying consumerism since I started this video. I don't know, maybe not. So the myth of convenience is that, you know, you can stop at home and get fast food, you know, you can make all of these unhealthy choices, and it feeds this, what's a good analogy for this? I'm getting like beast, but that's too harsh, because I don't think that most of us, there's, you know, okay. So there's the hierarchy of Maslow's needs, which a lot of people, I think, have a problem with, but we'll go over that really quick. I'm pretty sure it's myth of convenience. I'm so sorry if I've been misspeaking. I'm pulling up the workbook, and then I have to pull up some more words. Myth of convenience. So we think it's convenient to be able to call in and order a pizza, but really it's, you know... or we think it's, you know, convenient and easy to just go to fast food. But what all of that does, I mean, these are tools introduced by the elite to continue to control, right? So I'm not judging anyone by the choices that they make or the things that they do to live their life. If you want to eat fast food, that's fine. Of course, we all do it. Actually, we wanted to talk about today and eat the fuck out, right? Like, we all, but that's the thing, is when we center that as like, Maslow, okay, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs is like food, shelter, you know, it's like basic ass human rights. But the theory behind it, yes, it is the myth of convenience. The theory behind it is that if the needs within the hierarchy are not met, then that will result in some sort of unwanted behavior, right? So, for instance, crime. When people don't have the things they need, they go to the means necessary in order to get those things, because it's the survival of the fittest. We need to, you take away the dignity of people when you make them go to those levels. And then within this system, you know, we could, my poster fell, but hang on. I can't get to it. My poster fell in the crack between my table and the wall. But I was going to hold up the hierarchy of the way that this system works. I mean, you guys have seen it a million times if you're over here. And chances are, if you're watching this series, you probably are. But anyway, I'd like to hold up that hierarchy of how the system works, with the elite on the top and incarceration at the bottom. And then, you know, each rung of that pyramid is a different, you know, societal standing, different class. So, you know, at the bottom we have the things that they've used to divide us, like race and sexuality and ethnicity and, you know, zoning, right? Zoning isn't on the pyramid, but zoning is a way that this system has kept communities apart, gentrified, polluted. Environmental racism is a very real thing. So, for the people who are not experiencing that to that degree at the lower rung, I think it's interesting to hold up Maslow's hierarchy of needs along with the hierarchy of how the system works. So I'm going to pull up this poster. It's taking me to Walmart. I miss the good old days when you could just like have an image and that's all it was. You didn't have to go buy it or be promoted. Everything is a fucking product. Speaking of which, we had a market today. We did really good. I met my goal, which was awesome. Okay, here we go. So the top of the, I'll show you. It's probably going to turn me orange. This is the Maslow. You can type it in. Maslow, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the bottom is psychological needs: breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. So this system is, the myth of convenience entails all of this because it keeps people distracted with this convenience, with this facade of freedom when it comes to your choice of consuming. That's it. And doing so in a convenient manner. You know, I just saw something. So, like, someone was talking about, oh God, it was such a good point. She was saying, I'm going to totally fuck this up. It wasn't verbatim at all, but it's a conversation. So people are talking about how the more wealthy you are, you use that wealth to, like, serve. So, like, my mother is someone who likes to travel a lot, and she, like, enjoys hotels. I think hotels are disgusting. I don't enjoy that. But because she's that much removed from, she gets a sense of, and it's not just my mom, okay? It's all of the people who have enough privilege to enjoy other people serving them, going out to eat and being served, going to hotels and being cleaned up after. It's this continuation of enslavement, quite frankly. Especially when those people in those positions of employment, the working class, are not giving their, basic fucking human rights met. That's the bottom of the rung, is the psychological needs. Breathing, these are the basic ass human rights. Breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. Okay, third shift workers is a good example, right? Next we have safety and security, health, employment, property, family, and social ability. Then we have love and belonging, friendship, family, intimacy, sense of connection. So those two rungs can't exist because of the time. We already talked about the time and energy that capitalism takes away from people, right? And so you have the rich getting richer because they're not taxed fairly, right? Not to mention the fact that this administration is just blatantly pirating all of the social services and giving them to Israel. Right? The United States has been, the United States is occupied by Israel, has been. And these mad fucking men, billionaires, who want a technocratic society and enslavement of women and children and mistreatment of as well, genocide, femicide. There's 2 countries in the whole world that voted that food wasn't a human right, and it was Israel and the United States. Which, what's really interesting is when I was putting this stuff together for, this is another side note, you know how we roll over here. We'll get to the last 2 of the hierarchy. But when I was putting together the Salvage Studio work stuff, like actual class content, because I want to do a little class before we get started on the project. I printed out two pictures of drawing, like very elementary drawing of world peace, and and both of them had like a compilation of world flags. Like one of them was like a hot air balloon, and like the basket of the hot air balloon was the world flags, and then one of them was the earth, and it had the world flags. And I was looking at the flags, and one flag stood out to me, and the American flag was nowhere to be found, which I thought was interesting. And I did black out. the one of them, I cut the Israeli flag off. I'm like, we are not having that be a part of the conversation. No. And then I blacked off the other flag. So when you carry out genocide amongst, genocide and a whole bunch of other shit, right? Occupation, apartheid, all the horrible things. The IOF has trained dogs to rape people. that not just trained, but they're doing that. Like, that's being carried out. And that's not even the worst of it, right? Like, these people are disgusting. So, in anything that I'm presenting as a piece for world peace, they're not going to be included. Fuck that. Anyway, done with that side tangent. Let's go back to the hierarchy of needs. Then we have self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and the need to be a unique individual. So neoliberalism was introduced in the beginning of the 80s with Reagan and Margaret Thatcher in the UK. And neoliberalism has served as a means to de-individualize people. So like the 80s were like hella individualism. Like, but like not in like a, not like a we're in silos way, but in like this space of self-expression, self-esteem, being able to express yourself and feel good about it, and other people were doing it too. It wasn't weird to look, you know. And now everything is a trend, and if you're not doing the trend, you're stupid. It's so ridiculous. But that mentality, especially the Gen Zers have, and their obsession with millennials, is that we don't give a fuck. You know, we don't give a fuck, and Gen Z projects a lot of jealousy in our ability to have that self-esteem, because we grew up without the internet. We grew up without having to compete. We got the tail end of being able to be individuals, right? Wow, this is going all over the place. You're welcome. I had an edible. Self-actualization is the top of the triangle, with morality, creativity, spontaneity, so like getting to choose to like go on a vacation out of the country. Obviously, that's not an option for most of us. Acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, and inner potential. So really aligning to who you are and, you know, reconnecting to yourself. Most people do not experience that in this society on purpose. That's why, you know, my master's work, when I was writing about the way that the DSM works and the way that the APA was put together and the way that the DSM was put together and all of that, it was very obvious to me. And I do have a timeline on my TikTok of how the parallels between social and civil movements, and the pathologizing of that behavior and criminalizing of those thoughts and feel. And it's still happening, right? Like, it's really happening under this administration. I mean, dude talks about, he just said last week that everyone who, like, is anti, you know, all of these keywords, and they're having AI, like, fish us out, right? But all of these keywords, if you say things about anything, like, you are a DT, right? So, I always recommend, when we hear the system using the word terrorist, or terrorism, that's what DT stands for, not the person in charge. I want to clarify. Domestic terrorism is what I'm talking about. But that's the thing, it's become so criminalized, and that's all been made possible by neoliberalism, because they've introduced these societal norms, right? So again, the myth of convenience and the, you know, this facade of freedom that Americans especially, and I mean Israelis too, but they've been brainwashed a lot worse. I would say, I don't know. I'm learning a lot more about Gen Z that I didn't know. I was unaware of how boomer-like they were until very recently. And it sucks. I really had hope. Hopefully us millennials can bring it back around with our kids. But the following of trends, the need to do everything, the need for that acceptance, is because people don't have the ability, the time to find themselves, have this self-actualization. When you know who you are, when you get to that point in your journey, because all of these other things have been met, you've been able to climb this ladder. You exist in a very different reality. There's no need for external validation. There's no need to do things that other people are doing. You're able to be yourself. But again, the whole point of this is the minimum wage in this country is $7.25, I think, right? Like, some states have like put it at 15, which is still not a livable wage. everything has become corporate owned. There's, like 12 corporations that own everything. I mean, it's just gross. It's the fucking game of Monopoly. That's what we're living through, right? And and you say the wrong thing now under this administration, and you are, Anyway, I think they just brought back firing squads, so that's cool. Anyway. So the myth of convenience. I'm sorry if I'm bursting your bubble, but convenience doesn't equal anything. It's a tool to keep you unaware of all of this other stuff, of your own process. It gives you just enough, feeling of agency to, forget the bad stuff, right? And not to mention the chemical warfare within all of this, chemical and psychological, but chemical, I mean, all of our food has been pumped with crazy fucking shit. Even when you try to eat natural, everything has been poisoned to, again, maintain complacency and compliance. I don't eat meat, and I think that helps me a lot be able to be at a higher frequency in my thinking. I'm not saying don't eat meat, but I'm saying it's something that forever, since I was able to understand what I was eating, I didn't want to do. And I did for a long time. I was pressured, I was made to, but I drink protein shakes every day, and I'm really healthy right now. So I've been supplementing a lot with like mushroom vitamins and lion's mane, magnesium. I take my vitamins, which is something I've never been good at in my life, but it helps me a lot find balance within myself. So I don't know why I'm talking about all of this. I guess it's just that I have this big thing of bubble wrap, right? I mean, I'm trying to pop the bubbles, but they're not popping. They're like little. So the myth of convenience. I guess be mindful. I mean, that's the only thing I can say is, like, I'm just sharing because I think everyone, like, a lot of people are so brainwashed that they really defend their ability to make their choice between Taco Bell and Del Taco, right? Or Burger King and McDonald's, or Carl's Jr. and Arby's. And it gives this sense of empowerment, of I have control over my own life, and it's convenient to me, right? DoorDash, this need to feel like you're being served. Like my mother I've already used her as an example, but my mom has just enough money and privilege to not give a fuck, to completely want to be, and therefore continue to be completely ignorant. But it's not just my mother. Gen Z is also doing that because people are so focused on material goods. They're so focused on shallow shit because that's what the system has cultivated. It's created. It's the gears, okay? It's the gears that make the machine work. There's a saying about the bread in circuses. What is that from? Was it Roman Empire or the Greek or French Revolution? I don't know. Hang on. I don't know that history. I don't know European history. Bread and circuses. Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt, is the saying. Roman. Did I say Rome? I don't know. It's a phrase from Roman poet Juvenal. That's interesting. Sounds like juvenile. Describing how rulers pacify the population by providing free food and entertainment. It refers to using basic sustenance and mass distraction to distract Why do you have those words next to each other like that? Who wrote this? To distract citizens from political oppression, corruption, and the loss of liberties, effectively trading civic power for superficial satisfaction. We could have just read that and been done. But no, I'm a yapper. So let's read about the fall of the Roman Empire. Because I think we're here. Honestly, I don't think the Roman Empire ever fell. I think it was displaced and replaced. And, but again, I don't know European history. The Western Empire fell on September 4th, 476 CE. I don't know what CE means. Is that after or before? No clue. When Emperor Romulus Augustus was deposed by Germanic chieftain, what are these words? Odoacer. Key causes included barbarian invasions, severe economic crisis, political instability, and military decline. Oh, the United States is experiencing all of those. But empires usually fall after about 250 years, and the United States is going to be 250 this summer. And so what it means to me is, like, again, every crisis is an opportunity. Like, we can continue to let these motherfuckers distract us, or we can wake the fuck up and climb our way up the ladder of human needs. Again, there's something problematic about Maslow. I don't remember what it is. There's something problematic about all of us. But it's a great reference point to talk about the human condition. So I'm sorry if I'm, I don't know. I think it's a good model. But I mean, all of those guys were like white guys. But I think if we're thinking within a hierarchy system, which we are, we're experiencing. So anyway, the fall of the empire, we have one of two ways to go. We can allow this shit to continue to get worse, or we can rise up and fight back by understanding the tools that they're using against us, right? That saying about from the times of slavery, the master's tools will never help, or will never take down the master's house, or something like that. When we understand what tools they're using, we can do a lot more. We can reclaim our power by making different decisions, by not engaging. Like this shit that happened today at this meeting, it's an energy harvest. It's quite obvious when there's an energy harvest happening. And I guess that's kind of within this myth of convenience, you know? Like, for instance, a few weeks ago when, you know, people call them psyopses or distractions, but they're tools. It's an energy harvesting tool. It's a technique to gain traction around a focal point, which causes people to, again, look away from other things, okay? So with the shit that happened at this dinner today, everybody's looking at that, right? Everybody's looking over there right now. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's doing their think pieces. Everybody's going over, you know, and they love it. That's the thing you need to understand, is they fucking love it. This is a narcissistic system. Energy supply is necessary. They love it. The more you disengage from this system, the more you focus on yourself. You're the only thing you can control. You can't control what people think about you because you don't have an iPhone, or you don't have fucking, I don't know, some sort of shoes, or you don't have a Birkin bag. Who the fuck would... If I had the money to buy a Birkin bag, I can sure as fuck tell you I would not be buying a Birkin bag. I would be building financial generational wealth with that money. There's like $26,000 would change my fucking life right now. Like, that's a huge amount of money for me. So anyway, don't worry about what people think about you. People don't even know who they are. Again, people are distracted by making choices. Do I want my phone playing with Verizon or AT&T? And it's just a fucking facade of choice. It's a myth of convenience. That's it. So I hope this helps. Thanks for being here. I love this song. Goldfinger's rendition of 99 Red Balloons. God, I miss good music. Okay, bye y'all. Have a good one.